So what we're going to do today is we're going to learn something called R Markdown. R Markdown is a function within R, it's a package within R that allows you to create reports that are useful to look at, and they don't require the person receiving the report to have R open and running your script in order to see what that script does and what the output from that script is. So what I want us to do is once you're out of R, go to wherever it is that you're storing your R work, and we're going to start there. So on my computer, it is in a folder in applied statistics, and then I have an R scripts folder inside of there. What I want you to do is I want you to open whatever the script is that you've been working on that analyzes the P's data, the P growth data. So for me, that is P's analysis live. So I've been live coding with you. So that will open up R. At least I hope it will open up R. Let me make this bigger so you can see it. And so what I asked you to do in an email and what I spent a good chunk of yesterday doing is I've gone through and I have edited my script so that it's cleaned up. I've added a ton of annotations basically explaining what I'm doing and why I'm doing it. And I've also done what I call sectioning of my code. So I showed you this early on, but remember that when you put a comment line out here and you put these 4 dashes out in front of it, you'll see that a little drop-down menu button occurs right here, such that you can collapse your entire code down into sections. And so this is useful because sometimes you just want to look at one little section of your code and you don't want to see the rest of it. It's also useful when you give people code to work on that that they can look at it and say, okay, well, what are all the steps in this analysis? Well, the first thing that you have to do is you have to, of course, load your libraries, then read in the data file and clean it up, specify the model. And that little section, that's just one line of code actually when I specify the model, but I've put it out as a section because that's an important thing to do if you're going to then rely on that to save yourself some keystrokes for the rest of the rest of the script. Testing assumptions on model 1. After we tested those assumptions, we found that we needed to transform our data. So then I go and define a new model. I test assumptions on model 2. I ran the ANOVA on model 2. I have a plot of model 2 results. I do post hoc tests. I do the back transformation of the data. I have a graphing block for the raw untransformed data, a graphing block for the transformed data, and a graphing block for the back transformed data. And so when you then click on any of these things, oh, well, what does the graph look like for this? Well, here's the code for that. Now, because I haven't run anything yet, if I want to use that code, I have to go back up to the top and load the data and load the packages and all that. But it's all nice and organized. If I want to know what kind of libraries I need in order to do an analysis of variance, these are the ones that I need. Once again, loading in the data file involves not only loading in the data file, but also making sure that it does certain things. And so this is a little longer, but then specifying the model is really short. It's just that. I specify the model, and then I check to see that the model is correctly specified. That's all that's there. So sectioning helps, I think, keep you organized. I know people who don't ever section. I know some people who section like every 3 lines, and it becomes almost overbearing, the amount of sectioning. Figure out what works for you, and that's what works for you. Everybody does things in different ways. The reason that I did this in preparation for today is we're going to be transferring this code into an R Markdown script. And it's easier to do if you've organized your code before you do this. I know some people who script in R Markdown. I find that amazingly irritating because you have to worry about, does my script do the things that I'm asking the script to do, at the same time that you're wondering whether or not R Markdown is doing the things that you want it to do. So I find it easier and less cluttered to script in regular R and then transfer scripts that I've built into R Markdown if I need to put together a report. So that's the strategy that I'm going to adopt today. So you can see in my group of things, I've already got a Markdown file, but I'm going to make a new one so that I can start from scratch just like you guys are doing. So what I need you to do is go up here to the icon in the upper left-hand corner, click on the little drop-down menu, and you can start a new script from here, but you can also start a new Markdown script from here. The first thing that it's going to ask you to do is it's going to ask you to give it a title. So I'm going to call my P's Markdown 2 because I already have a P's Markdown file. You can call it whatever you want for yours. And put the default format as HTML. Don't use PDF. It'll scram on you unless you have some other software installed. And for now, don't put Word on there either, although we're going to add that. So when you do this, it automatically generates some things for you. It takes whatever title it gave you, who the author is, when it was prepared, and the output is by default an HTML output. The first thing that we want to do is we want to add to that. We also want to add output colon not HTML. Oh man, now I forget what it is. Is it Word? Let me go back. I don't usually do this part of it. It's Word document default. Okay, so I see what it's doing. Okay. Go back to P's Markdown 2. Oh, untitled. So just get rid of all of this. And what you want to do is you want to do output and then HTML document default and Word document default. So Word _ document default. Yesterday when I was working through R Markdown, I couldn't get it to give me a preview without producing a document every time. And in order to do that, you have to have HTML as one of your defaults. But then you also want to ultimately save it in like a word processing file as well. So you want to have both of these as output types. Having HTML will help you view what you're doing down here in the viewer, and I'll show you how to set that up in a minute. So put your green tab up when you've gotten, or your blue tab up when you've gotten the output default set. Oh, did I not give you tabs? All right. Samuel, you got it done? Oh, okay. So wasn't letting you open up your original script? Okay, but you got it open now? Okay, all right. So now open up our Markdown. Hmm? I titled 9P's Markdown too, but you could title yours Bob if you wanted to. I don't care, really. Title it whatever you want to title it. Let me know when you got that done. What's that? Well, don't run anything yet. What's yeah? What's
Just a Word document about that. I ran this because I'm not supposed to run it.
do you have our Markdown loaded as a package?
Yeah,
Did you install it?
I did last night. Yeah.
Okay. Now, if you run it, it should probably run. Nope, it didn't. You're getting some errors. So let's save. At this point, save your document simply because it's going to give you problems if you don't. Nope, don't do anything like that yet. So for me, click the save button. So now you can see that it's got the file named. So just hold on a minute. Oh, did it? It did do that. Okay, all right, close that. All right, so the next thing that you need to do is you need to go over here to the settings wheel. This little cog thing here. Click on its drop down menu, and you want to click on preview in viewer pane. The other thing that you want to do is you want to get rid of shows previews inline. I'll show you what that does here in a few minutes. But I find it irritating. You might actually find it useful. And also chunked output inline. You probably don't necessarily want to see either. Actually, you might want to see chunk output inline. Let's keep that. Okay, so it has set up some things for you. This thing here at the beginning is basically telling you that you want it to echo is basically telling you whether you want it to show you what's in the chunks. So our Markdown is organized into comments and code chunks. They call them code chunks for some reason. And code chunks are preceded and ended by 3 backticks. A backtick is the same key as the tilde bar, the tilde button, but not the tilde, the regular, just click on it, don't shift click on it. And so you have 3 backticks that sets up a code chunk, and then you have to have some brackets here And at the very least, they have to have the letter R in them. They don't have to have anything else in them, but they have to have at least that. If you give it a title in there, that sets up a section, actually, and it will automatically section it. So you see down here, chunk 1 is setup. Chunk 1 is setup because you've told it that chunk 1 is setup. You've also used include false, so you don't want this to be included in your final R Markdown document, because this is just setup information. Nobody needs to know that. And also, but you might want it to show you the results of doing this. So echo is true, meaning that it's going to show you, when it runs this code, it's going to show you what it did as a result of that. You can also turn echo false, and it won't show you what it did as a result of that. I generally want all of my code to be in the final document, and I generally want to see what my code is doing. So I usually have include true and echo true on everything. But echo true is the default, so you don't have to type it every time. So you see down here, it says you can also embed plots. You can put a plot in there. R pressure, echo false. Well, once again, this is just going to put the plot in, but it's not going to show you the code that went into creating that plot, which seems counterintuitive that you would show somebody a plot and not show them the code, unless you were actually doing this to produce a report where you didn't want the code to clutter up the report. You could, in theory, write an entire report in R Markdown that doesn't ever show the person any of the code. It just generates a report that is just text and figures. For the purposes of this class, we don't want to do that because I want to see your code, because that's one of the things that I'm grading you on. So what I want you to do basically is take all of this stuff from R Markdown down to the end of this code chunk, and I want you to just delete all of that. So echo false, it tells you what echo false is doing. So I always leave this in just to remind me of what echo is doing as a function. But what we want to do is we want to start altering this thing. So there's one of the programs that Markdown uses, one of the packages that Markdown uses is knitter, and it's the thing that basically takes this code, knits it together, and outputs it as a text file, basically, a Word file. And so I want you to add something to it. This line of code, knitter, basically it's just telling you when it goes to knit, where do you want it to put things? And so it's a complicated path here, but this path here should be the path where you're working from. So wherever your R script is that you're working on, the P's analysis script, what you're basically doing is saying, when I output things, I want to output things to this place on my computer. And this just happens to be the line of code that you need to do that. And just as a complicated line of code, let me know when you've got that done. And obviously, this is the path on my computer. Your path will be different. So put your positive sticky up when you're done. And this is one of those situations where you probably want to save frequently. Remember, you can go to your R script and right click on it, get the information about your R script, and copy your path directly from the get info section. And that saves you making keystroke mistakes. So go to your file structure? Which one is yours?
The R markdown or
That one,
initial one.
piece analysis.
Yeah.
Yep. Right click, get info. Copy your path from users on.
Okay.
Yep. Let me watch, because sometimes it does the hashes wrong. Yeah, get rid of that last backhash, or last forward. Oh, okay. All right, there you go. Yeah, that should be it. All right. Jonathan, you got that done? Okay, all right. Chance? Hmm? Oh, because you got two of those. Yeah, that's the reason. We've just got into this first little code chunk at the top here, putting this in to set your path. You don't delete what's already there. You just put some additions. Yeah. Okay. All right. All right. So no more little flags. What's that? What's that little warning flag about? Okay. Why'd you change that? I see.
Oh, well, I erased it all before you'd gotten there, and then I'd saved it, and
Now
then you were
it's
like,
giving
don't
you
erase
something
it
else.
all. So then I was like, well, that sucks. It's just probably the type of here I can go through. Yeah, I agree.
One too many parentheses. That's like the bane of our existence in this is too many parentheses or too few. Hmm? There's a
Oh, yeah, I'll
parentheses.
Yeah, I'll close it when I finish it.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
That works.
And then you get the path for wherever your code is sitting, because this is where it's also going to put the report that you generate.
Okay. And just,
Keeps it all together. Yeah. That is weird. Hit it again. Still giving you the error, yet it's putting it's giving you a markdown. It's giving you a markdown in HTML. But it is not giving you a Word file. Yeah, that ran just fine. Okay, and it's rendering, so I'm gonna not worry about that for now. Okay, yeah, because I just ran it and it ran without issue. All right, everybody got there. All right, blue stickies down. When you're in R Markdown, you can see whatever it is that you're working on by just clicking on the knit button. So when you click on knit, it should show you the result over here. And right now, there's hardly anything there because you told it to not include this block of this code chunk. So all it gives you is this message down here, which is fine. So it seems to be working. Go to your Files tab here, and in your Files tab, you should see that now you should have a Markdown Word document, and you should have a Markdown HTML, as well as your Markdown file that you are working on, P's Markdown 2. So go and check your file and make sure that it's writing an HTML file, and make sure that it's writing a
That's what happened when I hit knit.
okay, let's see. Okay. You're still storing things on your OneDrive.
No way.
Okay, let me see. Let me see. Let me see all of it. Can you scroll up, or is that all of it? That is all of it. Okay. If you're not getting it to knit, go into your console. Go into console. And load library or markdown if you haven't done that. That could also be an issue. And load knitter while you're there. Errors everywhere. No, in console. Just do it down in console. What'd you get?
It's a hide line.
Hide your what?
Like it still shows my code over here on the right hand side. And I've got both knitter and R Markdown.
Load it? Okay.
I'm confused if I like maybe a type something, because you didn't get yours to show.
That's weird because it says echo true here, but it's clearly saying echo. Oh, it's because it's saying echo true, echo false. That's the reason.
Do you have echo true up there?
Oh, I do have echo true up there. So you get include equals false. Well, shouldn't be. Run that again. Knit that again. Okay, now do the comma and then do include equals true. That is not what is supposed to happen. This is one of the things I don't like about R Markdown is it sometimes it's a little glitchy. It's not that important. It doesn't matter if it appears or not. Although, once again, it would be nice to know why it's doing that. Samuel, what's up?
This is not showing me the Word document.
Okay.
Also, I don't know if it matters, but when I wrote the first line of those 3 lines, it gives me,
This one?
yeah, it gives me, or no, excuse me, the one above that.
Oh yeah, this is not really coding anything.
Gotcha.
Let's go up to because you haven't given it permission to access Word. That's the reason.
Gotcha.
Now it should. Now when you knit, oh yeah, there it is.
Cool.
Yep. Okay. All right. Now to get rid of that, go back to R and change it from do knit to HTML, so you don't keep getting a Word file popping up in front of your face every time. Okay. How does your trackpad work? Okay, that's installed. That's weird. So, Control Enter on a. That's working fine. So when you knit, does it give you the result? When you set this up, did it give you a dialog box that asked you to put in the name and your name and all that stuff? Yeah. Oh, I know what's happened. Knit to Word. Do you have Word installed on this computer?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's not it. I'm gonna delete this one for now. That would be dumb. That was what it was. Okay. How do you do undo on Control Z? Okay, same as a. Okay. Put a space. Yeah. That's dumb, but yes, that's what you need. Now try it. Boom, chicka boom. All right. Yeah.
So, last time we've been working on this, and I remember actually we went back down and we used to leave it linked to my OneDrive.
Oh, did you?
Because we never figured out how to unlink it, because anytime I say anything, it automatically was set.
Okay.
So if I do this, will that ruin that?
I don't know.
And see, that's,
So
and
all right.
that's
So go back to your R.
Yeah, no worries. And it's like, cause you have the OneDrive path that I was working on, but then if I go look at the rest of my code, I remember when we went in there, we couldn't figure out how to save it without that.
Show me your file structure.
Yeah, right there on the right. So we have DTS materials. So I have like.
So where's your piece? Oh, here's your piece analysis.
The properties is where I would go to find.
Oh yeah, properties.
And then every time everything's through my OneDrive.
Everything is through your OneDrive.
And we could never figure out how to do that. Even when I walked through, and you're like, well, we'll leave it because we were able to run it.
We were able to run it. Okay.
But now I'm wondering if it's becoming an issue. We can't do that because it's not to my hard drive.
See, because you have a DTS materials thing on your. This is what we did last time. We just worked off of your hard drive. Because that's ScarDraw. That's way back. Way back when.
So what I need to do is resave things to.
Yeah, save things to your hard drive rather than OneDrive. I'm not sure why that whole OneDrive, the cloud storage thing, is an issue. My girlfriend is teaching a bioinformatics class, and she had similar issues with another student, her student who was working on a cloud storage thing. So, yeah, just transfer those files that you're working on over to your hard drive, and then use the hard drive path, the path to that section of your hard drive. All right. Everybody else on track? Jonathan, you got it? All right. We'll wait for Blaine to catch up, and then we'll continue. Our markdown is turning out to be harder than I thought it would be. As we wait for Blaine, go ahead and in our markdown, go up to the code button at the top, and one of the things that we'll do is you can do insert chunk. And in this chunk, this will be a chunk that is involved in loading packages. And we're going to do a new thing here. We're going to use Pacman to load packages. Pacman is a package within R, and it allows you to load a bunch of packages all with a single code. Now, don't use hard returns. This is something that Samuel did a minute ago. In our Markdown, it automatically word wraps. So don't do a hard return. When you do a hard return, it interrupts that line of code. It just looks like a hard return because I have my text blown up really big, and it's just auto wrapping the information. Yeah. Oh, it doesn't matter. No, it's just that in this in your index down here, whatever you name it is going to appear in the organization of your script. So, for example, if I want to go back to setup, all I have to do is click setup, and it goes to there. If I want to go to load packages, it'll take me down there. Typing in all those libraries that you want it to load. So it looks like this. How's it going, Blaine?
Right. So we were able to get here.
Mm-hmm.
And so I ran it, and I think I just typed it in wrong.
Okay.
So we'll try it again.
Except that that's on your hard drive. So you need your whole path. So go back to your file directory.
Yeah, so if I click on that, and then I go to 13 materials.
Yep.
And then you go to P Markdown, and then that's the only path it gives me.
That's weird. It's on your C drive.
Oh, so I need to put C.
Mm-hmm. C colon.
So C.
Over here.
C. Oh, I have to do that.
Yeah, you don't do anything here.
So I have to go. So it'd be
C colon.
C colon dash DTS, like just like that.
Yep. Did you put a hard return in here? You did. Now I'm doing shift enter. That's my problem. Not control enter. Typing, Blaine.
Oh
Typing.
my gosh, are you for real?
Typing. Well, that was part of the problem.
Oh, that just worries me because I wonder where else went wrong. So that goes true.
All right, I'm going to do something real quick.
No worries.
Okay. So now let's go to your files. What did you call this?
I said P markdown.
Okay, P's marked down.
Should be in my DTS real quick.
Okay. Hold on.
Oh, wait a minute. I still don't think I loaded that.
You loaded from your old spot. So I'm going to come down here. Let's go to console. You're still on OneDrive.
Okay.
Do you still have your path saved?
Yeah. Should be control.
Oh, crud. I know what the problem is. It requires quotes around it.
Oh my god.
Oh, crud. Yeah, because we're not defining the working directory correctly. And it's showing you as home because you're operating out of this. All right. Save this. Wait, what is untitled? Where's your markdown? Is this your markdown?
Yeah.
Okay.
Piece markdown.
Piece markdown. All right, it's already saved. Close R.
Okay. Just don't save.
Don't save. No, don't start a new session.
Close all.
Okay. You're in here. Come on. Open. Where's your data file?
It should be in there. Just a piece.
Is that it?
One piece.
Oh, 2 pieces. Okay. Oh, it's because you had other tabs open. Now go and open your R markdown file. Okay. Now, unfortunately, this path is wrong. Right?
Yes.
Okay, so let's do this. Make your window big. Oh, thank you.
No worries.
So I want to see. So you don't put in hard returns
Okay.
because that actually is telling it that you're finished with that line of code and you're going to a new line of code.
Okay.
The reason that it looks like I'm putting in hard returns is because I've got really big text and it's squinching it, and in R Markdown it auto wraps.
Okay.
So there aren't hard returns in there.
Okay.
So let's just try and knit. Okay, so that's causing a problem. So I'm going to just comment that line out. Let's try and knit again. It knitted. Let's go to files. Piece analysis,
So you're marking
the
on
HTML, and you don't have it going to Word yet. So go to, that's a markdown file.
Okay.
This is your markdown file.
Okay.
That's your analysis. This is your HTML, which is why it was able to appear over here. That's an HTML file. What we don't have is I don't see a Word file in here. So let's go to, okay, all right, what I want to do, go to net. Do you have R installed on, or Word installed on this computer?
Yes.
Why is it not giving me options? Here has a Word, has a Windows machine? Yeah. Let me see your knitter. When you go here to knit, what are your drop down options?
I got PDF, HTML, and Word.
Okay, that's not appearing in yours for some reason. Anyway, it doesn't matter for now. We'll figure it out later.
Okay.
You're able to knit to our markdown. So now get caught up. We are we're right here. We're loading packages. Okay, so what you can do is you don't need all of this. We deleted all of this. This is just that's stuff for them. You don't actually need any of that. You're here. So go up to code chunk. Go up to code. Oh, I forget your computer. Yeah, yep, code. Insert chunk. Insert chunk. And so it gives you a little code chunk. So you can start that either by doing the backticks, or you can just insert code chunk. And now you need to load libraries. So Pacman.
So what?
Pacman. Pacman. This right here. All right, if you've gotten this far, you can take your blue stickies down. C instead of a V in Agricola. That's it. That's it. All right, if you have that done, click knit and see what you get in your output. Put your sticky up if it worked. Knit. Take this whole thing. And for now, we're just going to delete it because it's sending it to your sending it to the right directory because that's the directory that you're working out of. So Pacman is not installed, so install it. Give it a minute. Pacman you're going to, I think, find useful over time because it allows you to load a lot of packages all at once rather than doing library package, library package, library package, library package. It's new. It wasn't invented when I first started working in R, so I have to remember that it's there as a tool. Now, library Pacman. All right. Everything knitted okay? All right. And now you should all be seeing the most uninteresting markdown file ever. Oh, that's still. It's installing. So one of the things that Pacman does, and this is happening on Blaine's computer, so the rest of you can't see. Listen up. One of the advantages of Pacman is when you use Pacman, if you're typing in a package that isn't already installed, it will go through the installation process. So one of your packages that you're asking it to load isn't installed. So since you're asking for it, Pacman both installs it with the latest version and also then will load the library after the installation is complete. So he's getting all these red error messages, which is just the installation process. So that's the other thing about Pacman is if you know that you need a package but you haven't ever used it before, it will install that package. The other thing that it does is that if you have a package that has been updated since the last time you used that package on your machine, Pacman will sense that and it will also update that package. So it's a way of making sure that you're installed with the most updated package. Now, one of the problems with updating packages in R is sometimes when a package gets rewritten and updated, it changes functionality. And so one of the other things that you have to think about if you're going to do this for real is what version of a particular package did you use for a particular script. So once again, my girlfriend, partner, whatever you want to call her, the person I share my life with, she is in bioinformatics. She writes scripts all the time for handling genetic data. And when in the real world, when you publish a paper nowadays, you also put all of your data on an online repository, and part of that online repository is whatever analysis that you used. Since more and more people are going to open source analysis packages like R, you input the actual script that you use to analyze the data. She got an email from somebody couple of months ago saying, hey, I'm doing RNA-seq, which is a technique that she uses. It looks at gene expression by looking at how many RNA molecules of different types are being produced. And they're like, I'm trying to use your script, but your script doesn't function the way it did. And what happened was the package that she was using to analyze her data had been updated. The update caused a change in functionality. Well, one of the things in R is R archives older versions of packages. So another thing that you can do in Pacman, and I don't know how to do this, I would have to look it up and show you how to do this, is you can specify what edition, what version of that package you want to be running. So you don't have to be running the newest version of the package. You can be running an older version of a package that had a different functionality at that particular time. So in her field in particular, where people are constantly developing new packages, and as they develop new packages, those packages may change functionality. Version control is very important. And so in her setup files, when she sets up a project, she basically defines which version of which packages she's using. It's not something you have to worry about with ANOVAs and regressions and things like that. ANOVA hasn't changed since the 1940s when it was invented, basically. What's the problem here? Okay.
Now should just be able to run it. It should run, right?
Yeah, I should be able to run. Just run it.
What's the difference? Is it downloading more yet? I've installed all these packages. Is it having to completely reinstall since we closed it?
I'm not sure. Okay, you should have everything run. So now, Let's see, Agricola is even being installed. Failed to install ggplot. That's just weird. Okay. So now that's there. It wasn't even in there.
Oh, yeah. I was like, it's not even marked.
Bend it down this path.
Yeah.
That's weird. All right. Cars light up. I missed. Nope, we got that.
Yeah, Agricola and
Nope, they're all loaded
yeah,
now. Okay, all right. Okay. All right. So you should be ready to go. All right. All right. So what I want you to do now is go to your P's analysis, and the first chunk of code for you should have been getting your working directory. So this is something you should do at the beginning of every R script. So just copy that and plunk it into here. You might want to So you see that I've given it a number of hashes of pound signs in front of this. What happens when you put pound signs? The more pound signs you put in front of a comment, the smaller that comment gets in terms of how it appears in the R Markdown. So put in a little header there, and then get a code chunk. And you can either get a code chunk by setting up a code chunk, or by using the backticks. It doesn't really matter which. And then just get WD, and then get WD and make sure that you're in the working directory that you think you are. When you knit this, you can knit this and it'll appear in your viewer. Notice that now you have get working directory, and get working directory is a particular size. If we put more hashtags in front of it, and we knit it again, you'll see that there's now two headers that say get working directory, but the second header is smaller than the first header. And so you control text size of comments by the number of pound signs that you put in front of something. Let me know when you've accomplished that by putting your sticky up. Is it working for you, Blaine?
Well, I mean, I went to re-download it again.
Re-download what?
So I just went to run it.
Uh-huh.
Reloaded that, and it still gave me the same fail to. But I checked. They're still here. They're still checked. I don't understand why it's still saying fail to install or load. Because impact when you got ggplot, rmisc, car, tgar, and Agricola, but failed to install ggplot.
Yeah, I'm not sure what's going on there, but it shows that they're installed.
Yeah,
Let's do this.
Which is weird. It says everything is successfully unpacked as it's going through.
Mm-hmm. Failed to load. Well, we'll know if it's Actually failed to load here directly. Yeah, it is not loaded. Yeah, I'm not sure why. Yeah, I'm not sure. You need to come and see me about that. I don't think we can resolve that in the time that we have here in class. A lot of what we're doing right now is base R stuff, so we'll just deal with that at another time. All right, everybody else get it to knit correctly, and when they knitted, it showed you two different sizes of working directory stuff. Okay. So go back to your P's file, um, P's analysis, and the next thing that you're going to do is read in your data. So in mine, my data reading in and everything is quite long because I read in the data and everything else. So what you want to do is you want to copy this whole thing, and different people have different strategies as to how they do things in Markdown. What I would do after this is I would put in a code chunk at this point, insert chunk, and then I would end up pasting this whole thing into there. And then that appears as one big code chunk. Some people prefer to break this out into smaller code chunks that kind of correspond to what their original notes were. When you knit this thing together then, what the document looks like, it'll take a minute for it to do this, is it reads in the data and it gives you gray blocks that have code in them. It gives you open boxes that have the output of that code, another gray box with the code, the output from the code, comments that are associated with another little block of code, and then the output from that code, then another little section of code, its output, another little section of code, its output, and then this last comment at the end. So it's going to break it up automatically for you into blocks of code and blocks of comments, blocks of code, blocks of comments, or sorry, blocks of code, the output, blocks of code, the output, and the comments are going to be embedded there with the code. What happened to you? Sorry?
But when I inserted like the data in that you had in the Metasploit.
Exports. Okay. Probably because of this. So get rid of view P's. Now try it. Yeah. Yep. So the view P's is what puts it in a different tab up here, which isn't something you want to be doing in R Markdown. And you'll see that in my script, I've actually commented out view because I knew it was going to do that. Mm-hmm. I went all the way down through all of the things that I used to clean up the data, but you can do it in smaller code chunks as well. All right, we're past time. Friday. I don't know what my day is going to be like on Friday. All right, we don't have class scheduled on Friday, so wait for an email from me to see what we're going to do about this. Save your work as your R Markdown file, and we'll continue on Monday. I will not see you on Friday. Comments on your comment cards, and Blaine, are you still having difficulties?
Yeah, I was just going to talk about for a minute.
Okay.
So we can just sit down and go through this.
All right. When do you have time?
I mean, tomorrow. Tomorrow would be
I'm going to be out of town tomorrow.
Okay. What time would work best for you today?
Anytime after 10:05.
10:05. Okay.
Okay.
I can do that. Yeah.
Okay, come in at 10:05. See you in my office.
Yep.
All right.